Welcome to Sports Betting Podcast from pregame.com for the week of November 19th, 2009. I'm your host, RJ Bell. I'm joined by Marco D'Angelo, 30 years in the business, Vegas runner, genuine professional bettor here in Vegas. This is segment 6 of 6, big game preview, Monday Night Football. We've got the Tennessee Titans, the Houston Texans. Tell us about the line, Vegas runner.
All right, this one opened up. Houston is a 3.5-point home favorite with a total of 49. As of this morning, Houston's been bet up to 4.5-point home favorite, and the total's been bet down to 48. Little strange after they put up 65 points in the first meeting, and it's a Monday night game.
Okay. So now, when you say "and it's a Monday night game,"
what the trend has been overs in Monday night. Not with Cleveland last week, but the tendency is for the players to go over Monday night.
Speaking of Cleveland, last week on my official free pick and on the podcast, we all went 3-0 combined. I had under in the Browns team
under
total at 15 was the under. Marco was like, "That it can't be 15 because the line wasn't actually out." Well, it actually was 15, and they scored 0.
Could have been under 3.
A lot of people would be resting on that, but I'm going to be giving an official pick
on
in this
Monday
game.
night.
On this Monday night game right now, official pick.
Back prime time.
Yeah, that's the way that's the way I roll, baby. All right.
Tell them the ones they want to know about.
Yeah, exactly. No
Louisiana Lafayette's out of RJ this week.
Well, there's two theories on primetime games. One is everyone knows everything about the game. I actually come on the other theory, which is the more the public's involved, the more chance there is for great line value. Because really, there's two ways to beat the bookie. One is to know more than the bookie, which is possible on the niche games, on the small conferences. But on the NFL, it's hard to know more than the bookie.
Yeah.
But the key is when the public's really involved in the game, it's not really knowing more than the bookie, it's knowing more than the public, because the line's being made even more so for the public action in a big game. And people always say, whenever you talk to someone and they find out you're a sports betting authority or whatever, is they say, is the line made to split the action, or is the line made to split the results? Well, in truth, it's a spectrum. If a game has hardly any public action, like a Utah State type game, it's going to be to split the result.
Yeah.
If a game like the Super Bowl is purely to split the action, and it's a spectrum in between. So a game like a Monday night's probably 80% towards splitting the public action.
I agree totally.
Which means there's value.
I agree totally. I think both primetime games have some of the highest value for such marquee matchups.
And you've been haunting Monday Night Football.
Yeah, and I love picking apart primetime.
All right, so my pick is Houston, and it's really simple. This Tennessee team has been a team all year, except for a week or two, that everyone has wanted to say, oh, they're better than we think. And it's one thing to say, oh, this team is 0-4, but man, they're not a bad team. And sometimes that means you want to back that team. But if everyone thinks they're not a bad team when they're 0-4, and the line is acting like they're 3-1, then there's no value. If anything, there's value the other way. And except for there was a week or two when people finally said, geez, Tennessee is horrible. The line was adjusted. But now they've won a few games in a row. It's back to, oh, this is the team that had the best record in the NFL last year and was the #1 seed in the AFC. So as I look at this, I think Vince Young, I am not a believer, and I think if anything, this is amazingly, I think this is a worse team, and then with Collins as quarterback. And I look at this Houston team as a good team, and it's really a value play against Tennessee for me. And I have a stat on it saying Houston is 6-0 after a loss, ATS. So apparently they're bouncing back fine. They're off the Colts loss. They had a bye. This is almost like a coming out party for them on Monday Night Football. I think it's a statement game. I think there's value. To me, this line should be 6.5 or 7, and that's where the value is.
That's the side that I lean right now too. I mean, it's too early with Monday night. You want to see what happens Sunday, what is pending on Monday night.
And you play a lot of totals on Monday too.
Exactly.
Right?
And I like to see how the books did, because then they'll adjust the Monday night line. But I agree with you. Houston's had a week off to get that taste of Indianapolis, because that was a letdown for them. They were finally saying, if we could get past that hurdle.
But there's two ways to respond to that. One is disappointment. Two is affirmation that we're good enough to. We outplayed the Colts. Right. Now let's go out and prove it.
And what better time than prime time Monday Night Football in Houston? The place is going to be rocking.
They haven't had many Monday night games in Houston, that's for sure. This type of game presents a problem because the Tennessee team, when you handicap them, you have to handicap them as two different teams.
Yeah.
There was a team pre-Vince Young and a team with Vince Young. Is this for real with Vince Young right now?
Scoring 30 every week.
It's hard to say because the 3 wins came against Jacksonville, who was highly overrated coming into the season, San Francisco, which we're now seeing is not as good as people thought their improvement was going to be, and Buffalo was, that team's just falling apart. Buffalo may be the second worst.
More importantly, none of them teams you just mentioned can throw the ball. And Tennessee's biggest weakness is against the pass. And what did Schaub do last time they met? 4 touchdowns, almost 400 yards passing. You know what you're going to get with Tennessee. They run the ball. Last time they played them, they ran for 250 yards, handed the ball 40 times. They can't do nothing else, really.
Right, but they
did now, the last 3 weeks. Can they continue that? That's the difference.
One thing is, like you said, they did torch Houston's defense with the big running plays.
Yeah.
Now you've still got that running game, and you've got the element of the running quarterback.
All right, so you, in typical Marco fashion, you framed what you see as the big question: is this the same team? Is this current incarnation of Tennessee similar in quality to the early season team that was losing all the time, or are they different? What's your opinion?
I think that right now they're better than they were early in the season, but they're not as good as people are making them out to be with Vince Young. They're winning because of who they're playing. I think this week we will really get a barometer on what this team is for the rest of the season. Houston, the edges do go to them. 2 weeks to prepare. Prior to that bye week, and Houston still was playing good, they played a stretch, which just doesn't happen in the NFL. Mm-hmm. They played 4 of 5 games on the road.
Yeah.
That was a huge disadvantage for them. And then to go in on that 5th week to Indianapolis at the time was, people regarded as, one of the 2 best teams in the NFL.
You don't think they're considered one of the 2 best teams now?
They still are, but they've had so many close wins that people don't think they're as dominant. And then the injury to Sanders hurts that defense, a lot. People love them, but I don't think they think that they can go undefeated, where they possibly were talking undefeated a couple weeks ago. So I I would lean right now.
Go ahead.
I would lean to Houston if you put the gun to my head right now, because I think the Tennessee's overrated, and the crowd is going to be electric on Monday night for their home game.
So, real quick, in 20-second answer, you think Jacksonville has underperformed this year?
Jacksonville, yeah. I mean, there were people who
they're on pace for the playoffs.
I'm not impressed with them at all.
All right. I mean, it's hard to say that. I mean, they're certainly on pace for their season win total. So I think it's hard to say. I'm not impressed with Jacksonville either, but I think it's hard pressed to say that they underperformed. A couple other things that concern me, though. I'm on Houston. Even though I think this might be kind of a fake results with Tennessee, there is an energy. There's a psychological element. They are winning now. Mm-hmm. So I think the energy's probably up, and it's like Vince Young, hey, maybe he can take us to the promised land. And Tennessee, as a profile, to profile this team, is good as a dog. They've covered 16 to 23 as a dog. All that said, I am making my official free pick on Houston. All right, great show this week, guys. Great energy. 3 more free picks. Remember, we're here every week. We're up usually Wednesday night, and we look at the weekend action. And you can check that out at pregame.tv, all of that. Or if you want to download and listen, just go to iTunes and search for pregame.com.